They buried this story for a reason. Everyone thinks America was built on freedom and free markets. But before there were banks, before there was even a dollar, colonial merchants invented a system that extracted wealth from an entire continent. And here's what should terrify you. That same system runs your economy today. While you earn dollars and save in banks, the mechanism transfers your wealth to people who understand how money actually works. In the next 15 minutes, I'll reveal the pattern that's been hidden for 300 years. But I warn you, once you see how they controlled colonial farmers, you'll recognize how they control you, and you can't go back to trusting the system. Here's something they don't teach in school. Before the Revolutionary War, American colonists had almost no gold or silver coins. The British made sure of that. They wanted colonists dependent on British merchants, so colonists created their own money. They bartered. They used tobacco as currency. They wrote IOUs on paper. They invented credit systems that would make modern bankers jealous. But here's the twist. The people who controlled the system of IOUs became the richest people in America. And the people who owed the IOUs lost their farms, their homes, and their freedom. Let that sink in. Now let me show you how deep this goes. In 1619, Virginia was the most profitable colony in America. Tobacco grew in every field. Ships left the docks full of valuable crops headed for Europe. The Virginia Company promised settlers they could own land and build wealth. Work hard, grow tobacco, and you'll prosper. That was the deal. But here's what happened. Settlers needed supplies, seeds, tools, cloth, food. British merchants sold them these goods on credit. The settlers would pay after the harvest. John Rolfe was a successful tobacco farmer. He woke up one morning with 300 acres and a barn full of tobacco. By 1622, he owed more to London merchants than his entire farm was worth. The prices for supplies kept rising. The price merchants paid for tobacco kept falling. The same pattern played out across Virginia. Farmers worked harder, grew more tobacco, and fell deeper into debt. But here's the part that will shock you. The British merchants controlled both sides of the transaction. They set the price for the supplies they sold, and they set the price for the tobacco they bought. The farmer had no say in either price. The system was designed to create permanent debt. Fast forward to 1690, Massachusetts faced a crisis. They sent soldiers to fight in Canada. When the soldiers returned, the colony owed them wages. But the treasury was empty. No gold, no silver, no way to pay. So Massachusetts did something radical. They printed paper money. The first government-issued paper currency in the Western world. They promised soldiers could exchange the paper for silver later. The soldiers took the paper. Merchants accepted it. For a few years, it worked. But then the government printed more paper, and more, and more. The promise to exchange it for silver quietly disappeared. Within 20 years, Massachusetts paper money was worth 1/5 of its original value. Thomas Hutchinson was a merchant who saw it coming. He converted his paper money into land and silver early. His wealth multiplied. His neighbors, who trusted the government's paper, watched their savings evaporate. And this is where it gets dark. The people who ran the printing press knew exactly what they were doing. Governor Shute and his circle converted their paper into hard assets before each new round of printing. They profited from the inflation they created. Regular colonists held worthless paper, while elites held land and silver. In 1750, Philadelphia was the richest city in the colonies. Benjamin Franklin walked its streets. Ships crowded its harbor. Trade flourished. Merchants created a credit system based on bills of exchange. These were IOUs that could be traded like money. A farmer could buy supplies with a bill of exchange, promising to pay after harvest. The merchant could then trade that bill to another merchant. It was sophisticated. It was efficient. And it concentrated wealth in the hands of people who understood how it worked. Robert Morris controlled much of Philadelphia's credit system. When farmers couldn't pay their bills, Morris took their land. When small merchants failed, Morris bought their businesses. He became one of the richest men in America by collecting on IOUs. The farmers who signed those bills of exchange thought they were just buying seeds and tools. They didn't realize they were signing away their futures. What historians don't mention, Morris and other wealthy merchants deliberately extended credit to farmers they knew couldn't pay. They wanted the land, not the money. The debt was the mechanism, foreclosure was the goal. They built empires on calculated defaults. Now let me make this personal. Right now, as you watch this, the same mechanism extracts value from your savings. The Federal Reserve increases the money supply. Your dollars buy less. It's invisible. It's constant. And it's designed that way. Let me put a number on it. If you have $10,000 in a savings account, the purchasing power drops by 2 to 3% every year. The bank pays you 1% interest. You lose 1 to 2% in real value. Over 10 years, that $10,000 will buy what $7,000 buys today. That's not a prediction. That's monetary inflation. And it's designed to be invisible. Your coffee cost $2 5 years ago. Today it's $4. Your salary went up 10%. Your costs went up 30%. The difference is the hidden tax. And it's accelerating. The colonists called it currency debasement. We call it inflation. Same mechanism, same result. Wealth transfers from people who hold currency to people who hold assets. This isn't just history to me. My grandfather worked in a steel mill in Pennsylvania. He saved every paycheck for 30 years. He trusted his pension. He believed in the system. He did everything right. In the 1970s, inflation hit double digits. His pension paid a fixed amount, but his rent, his groceries, his medicine all doubled in price. By the time he died, his life savings bought less than what he earned in his final year of work. I remember visiting him in a one-room apartment. He had worked 40 years in dangerous conditions. He saved, he planned, and he ended up poor. He told me one thing I'll never forget. They changed the value of the dollar while I wasn't looking. I didn't understand it then, but after studying 300 years of monetary history, I finally see what he meant. The game stays the same. Only the names change. So who benefits from this? Picture the central banker in a mahogany office. He adjusts interest rates with a phone call. His decisions affect millions of people. His own wealth is in assets that appreciate when currency loses value. He's insulated from the consequences of his decisions, or the politician who votes to increase spending, knowing the Federal Reserve will print more money to cover the debt. He gets credit for the programs. The inflation shows up years later, blamed on global markets or corporate greed or anything except the money printing. They're not evil. They're responding to incentives. The system rewards them for decisions that transfer wealth from savers to debtors, from wage earners to asset owners. Just like the Virginia merchants who controlled both prices, today's central bankers control both the money supply and interest rates. The colonists had no say. Neither do you. Fast forward to today. Right now, the Federal Reserve's balance sheet shows $9 trillion in assets. In 2008, it was less than $1 trillion. They increased the money supply by 900% in 15 years. Look at the pattern. The 2008 crisis led to quantitative easing, money printing. Asset prices soared. If you owned stocks or real estate, you got richer. If you worked for wages and saved in dollars, you fell behind. The 2020 pandemic led to more printing. $4 trillion in 2 years. Housing prices jumped 30%. Stock markets hit records. Wage earners watched their purchasing power collapse. The 2023 banking crisis led to more emergency measures, more printing, more asset inflation. And here's what should concern you. We're not at the beginning of this cycle. We're 3/4 through. Every historical example of currency debasement ends the same way. The currency collapses. Savers lose everything. Asset owners consolidate wealth. By 2030, if this pattern continues, the dollar will buy half of what it buys today. Which means if you're under 50 and holding dollars, you will watch your savings lose half their value, unless you move into assets that hold value through inflation. Still think this doesn't affect you? Here's the pattern they pray you never connect. Whoever controls the money supply controls the wealth. When they increase the supply, value transfers from currency holders to asset holders. It's not complex. It's basic supply and demand applied to money itself. Every time they print money, wealth transfers from many to few, from workers to owners, from savers to debtors, from the people who hold dollars to the people who hold assets. It's not monetary policy. It's wealth transfer. The mechanism has a technical name. The result is simple. Your dollars buy less. Their assets are worth more. And the cruelest part? You participate in your own exploitation. You work for dollars. You save in dollars. You trust the system. While people who understand the game convert those dollars into assets as fast as they can. This isn't conspiracy. This is documented monetary history. It happened in Virginia in 1619, in Massachusetts in 1690, in Philadelphia in 1750, during the Revolution. And it's happening right now. The only question is, are you going to be one of the people who holds depreciating currency or one of the people who holds appreciating assets? So, what do? First, calculate your inflation exposure. Take your total savings in cash and savings accounts, multiply by 0.03. That's what you lose to hidden inflation every year. This week, look at that number. Decide if you're comfortable with that loss. This works because inflation is the difference between money supply growth and economic growth. The money supply grows faster. Your dollars buy less. Simple math. Second, move some wealth into hard assets, real estate, commodities, stocks and companies that produce essential goods. Every person who survived the continental currency collapse held land or silver. Every person who held paper money lost everything. Start with 10% of your savings. Convert it to an asset that can't be printed. Then 20%. The goal is to hold things that maintain value when currency loses value. Third, learn monetary history. Read about Weimar Germany. Read about Zimbabwe. Read about every currency collapse in history. The pattern is identical. The warning signs are clear. The people who see it coming protect themselves. The people who trust the system lose everything. Here's how to measure this yourself. Compare your salary growth to your cost of living growth over the past 5 years. If your cost grew faster than your salary, you're losing ground. That gap is the hidden tax. The best time to move out of depreciating currency was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now, because money supply growth is accelerating, not slowing. Every crisis leads to more printing. Every round of printing transfers more wealth. You can't control the Federal Reserve. You can't control government spending. You can't stop the printing, but you can control what you own. You can control what you learn. You can control how you position yourself. And that's the difference between someone who watches their savings evaporate and someone who preserves wealth across generations.